what do you find, Katie, is the most difficult transition in general for the children as they start kindergarten?
It depends on the kid, and it depends on the time of year. Sometimes it can be that first drop off in the morning. And sometimes it could be, okay. So sometimes it can be even when they're, when we're finished playing with Play Workshop, they don't want to clean up, or if we're coming in from recess, or really if there's any sort of frustration involved, which can be in the morning when they're leaving a parent or a family member, that can be really hard. I would say it's a transition that's associated with the frustration. If something didn't go their way, even in writing workshop, if they don't want to, if they don't want to stop writing, which happens all the time, then that can be a source of frustration for them. And that's one of those times where we step in and, we're proactive and we say, hey, we've got about 2 more minutes left. So we just want to give you a heads up that we're going to be cleaning up. And sometimes kids benefit from a very structured plan of how that's going to go. So we just help prepare them in those sorts of ways.
That was a really great question. And I do know that tips and tools you can do with your children, give them a couple of minutes warning before you transition with them. That will be a nice way to introduce that concept. I'm sure many of you are doing it, but 5 more minutes and then we're going to get going. And it's the reminder, because it's hard for us to transition. It's hard for us to stop a project. It's hard for us to stop and move, and we're adults. So, for them, get just that little heads up is so incredibly helpful. I also know that, kindergarten is very thoughtful about their schedule, about ensuring that their specials, when they are planned and when they are in their day, is very thoughtful about what's best for a 5- and 6-year-old. And that's going to look different when you're a 5th grader. And I do love that there's a growth as they experience the lower school. And so, yes, thanks so much. And we have another great question coming in. A question about, what are some other things that people can do with their children before they begin? And one of them is summer camp. Summer camp. So we did it with my daughter. She did a hop and decay summer camp. It was a morning session, hop and decay, and then she did hop and decay artists in the afternoon. She got to meet 2 phenomenal kindergarten teachers, Saints kindergarten teachers, who she does not have as teachers, but they will always be teachers for her and always know her. And we did that in August, and we just felt it made such a world of difference. But there's also other summer times programs at St. Stephen St. Agnes and the other schools around the area. So it kind of helps by way of meeting new friends, seeing the facilities. And so most of the summer programs start to launch around end of January, but keep an eye out, because that can be some real fun experiences for your child, and it just empowers them, which is the best. Okay, so this question just came in, Katie. At the end of the kindergarten year, how do parents know how it went? How are you communicating with parents about, because they have parent-teacher conferences, sure, but how do you know at the end of the year what growth they experienced, and how are they ready for 1st grade?
Oh, that's such a good question. And it's so funny. I personally haven't yet made it to the end of kindergarten, because last year I had a baby, and then the year before we had the pandemic. So it's really funny, but despite all of that, we have our parent conferences, and we have report cards that are narrative reports, which means that we write out paragraphs about how your child is doing in each of the subject areas. And A kindergartner at the end of the year is incredibly different from a kindergartner at the beginning of the year. They're almost unrecognizable. I mean, they are independent. They have so many skills, academically and socially and emotionally that they didn't have at the beginning of the year. You really see that your child has blossomed. And we keep a portfolio of all of their work so that they can see their growth. We have their first book that they ever wrote. And usually, in February, we'll get those books out and we'll show them to the kids and they will say, I didn't write that. There aren't even any words or letters on, like, no, this is your very first book from kindergarten. And just for them to see how they've grown in just like that period of time. There's definitely a lot of reflection that goes on for the children. And then, we meet with parents and we're able to also talk about, what the children, what would help them over the summer if that's something that they need, or what to keep working on at home. And really it's just a very open dialogue that we have created over the school year. So it's one of our last conversations, and so it's bittersweet, but oftentimes it's they are ready. They're taller. They are it's really incredible. And then and then we get to do it all over again in the fall, which is so exciting. Oh, we do not have nap time in kindergarten. So yes, the encouragement is to wean away from naps and by kindergarten. And we also know, I want you to understand that we know at the beginning of the year how exhausting it is for the kindergartners. So I always tell parents at back to school night, just wait for October. September is going to be a transitional month. Give yourself September, and October is going to be beautiful. So we also have built into our schedule every day as part of our what is the responsive classroom approach, which is what we use here at the school for our social emotional approach to our day. It's a community building program. And part of it is called Quiet Quest. And so it's this time, and my students, it's up there with lunch and recess is one of their favorite times of the day. So Quiet Quest is a time where they are quiet in the classroom, and they are, I tell them it's a time for their brain to settle back down and just to kind of, for some of them to return to homeostasis. So to just to quiet their bodies down, and they can do, we give them, several choices. They can draw, they can play with Play-Doh. Today they will be making an ornament, but it's a time where it's very low key. It's very quiet right now. In my classroom, probably at this very moment, there is a crackling fire and Christmas music playing up on our big screen. So while we don't have nap time, we do have this time built into our day that gives them time to just reset. And it's in our class, every teacher does it, I think schedules it a little bit differently. But by and large, it's between two kind of heavy hitting subject time. So like, for example, between like math and writing or something. And if we don't have Quiet Quest, I will hear about it for the rest of the day. It is truly one of their favorite times, and rightfully so. They need that time to, just resettle and center their bodies and get ready for the next thing. Plus, they need a little break. We all need those little breaks. So
I am adding Quiet Quest to my schedule today. I keep saying I'm going to, but I have not yet. It's just so incredibly important. We just have this, we're going to take one more question, and then please know that we will email you the names of the books that Katie mentioned. And please know, I know how to get in touch with Katie. So if you have additional questions, email me, email Heather, and we'll get the question straight to Katie, and we can answer that. And please know, don't be a stranger. So if you think of a question in February or in January or in March, we will connect you with Katie. Katie, can you please remind us the name of the alphabet sound learning, phonological learning? Are there additional books in addition to the ABC books you'd recommend to help kids learn the alphabet?
Phonological awareness, I believe, is what you're thinking of. And it's again, the awareness that sounds and letters go together. So it's putting together the sounds and then the visual part of the, like, looking and understanding that these letters make the sounds. And that's a foundational skill for reading. And then additional books to help learn the alphabet. I mean, ABC books, I think, are really the biggest bang for your buck. I'm trying to think, oh, something else. And it doesn't have to be the ABC song that we all know, but any sort of song. There is a song, any kind of song or rhyme, anything that rhymes helps them remember things. But it's more just to kind of about the practice. And you don't even have to sit there and say alligator, ah. It's just this exposure to the letters, and they don't even have to realize that what they're doing is developing phonological awareness. They won't realize it. But you're just kind of giving them this exposure to sounds and letters and the sounds that they make. And then making it, really engaging for them by, playing little games like which letter is going to come up next, or what do you think is going to be the E in this book? If this is a book about animals, what do you think? Is it going to be an eel? Is it going to be an elephant? And that's what I would recommend for that. The ABC books are definitely the biggest bang for your buck. Yeah.
And then I'm going to throw in one more hack, just because I think it's so important to have your child's fine motor start to really develop, and the strength of the hand and the muscles in the hand. So use kitchen tongs to pick up toys. Use the little spray. They want to use that spray bottle all over the house. Clean the windows with the spray bottle. Play with Legos. Put little golf tees into Play-Doh. All of that will be we're kind of hoodwinking them into using their pincher grip, but will all help them, because some children gravitate to crayons and some do not. And so it's trying to find other little ways. Pinterest is great. They have great ideas. I know I've stolen many of them, but if you have any other questions about, those readiness skills, Katie and I will help along the way. We are all in it together, gentlemen and ladies. We are in it together. And so just know that, coming to St. Stephen St. Agnes, we're a school that will partner with you and your family, and we will do so joyfully.